And we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is the Reality Czars podcast / Bigfoot documentary interviews. I have Jim Bob Ovalshorts on. He's been here a couple times. He's a fucking favorite of the show. Thank you, brother. Anybody that doesn't know, you want to throw your stuff out there?
Ahoy there, everyone. Of course, you can find me at unconstitutionalawakening.com. And we're now streaming just about everywhere. We're on Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute, and pretty much anywhere you can listen to us except Pandora, because they don't seem to like me. But I've finally got us on Apple Podcasts, so we're officially everywhere but Pandora.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Are you on Audible? Somebody was telling me you can fucking go to Audible and shit, and they were mad that I didn't, so I probably should. I don't know how to do that though. But anyways,
I also started a new place that you can check me out. It's a new up and coming app. I recommend it for you too. It's called the Wisdom app. You just go on there and you can just have great conversations with a bunch of people and try to build your following a little bit more. So I definitely recommend that.
that's cool. Is it one where it's kind of like Spaces on Twitter where you like chat with people and you talk, or?
Correct. Yeah.
That's cool. What was the one that people were trying to do and then do you remember it was like only supposed to be for like people in the media and journalists and shit? Do you remember they had their own fucking app for half a second?
I do. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember when they had that going on.
I got an early invite, and so I could have been in that shit, except that like for some reason it didn't work on Androids. You had to have an Apple. Like,
dang.
Yeah, it was something stupid, but I don't know. I just would have been a good fly on the wall listening to all these weird fucking famous freaks. Like, yeah, I don't know. It would have been fun to
conversations.
All right, man. Let's talk some fucking Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, bro. That's my homie, dude. He's all over the world. Like, I don't care where you go, there are stories of Bigfoot.
Yeah, man. So why don't you tell the audience, have you had any Bigfoot experiences?
So I know over here in the state of Georgia, when you get closer up to the mountains and stuff up near bottom half of Appalachia, Blue Ridge is definitely an area where there's Bigfoot hunts that go on. And there's been multiple times we've been out camping up in that area, and you're just hearing this god awful blood curdling scream in the pitch black of night. That's not human. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminds me of some of them other ones that I've seen on different like Bigfoot documentaries and stuff like that. You know, you never seen anything, but good Lord, that scream, dude. You're just like, it freezes your whole entire body. Like, I don't even know how to explain the amount of panic that you're in that short period of time. You hear this thing less than 50 yards from you screaming at the top of its lungs in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. Like, about time to defend yourself and hang on for dear life.
I think it's about time to run. I sincerely don't think that any man can stand up against Bigfoot. Yeah, I don't know. And it's just an interesting thing, dude, because with them maybe potentially being interdimensional, I don't think your pistol could do a damn thing to it.
Oh, bro, okay, see, like, I dig the interdimensional thought, but I totally think they live in inner Earth.
Interesting. Tell me about that.
Well, because when you get over to some of these other islands and stuff like that, like the what is it, the Solomon Islands, and they have all those hairy giants that live underneath the world there, and then you hear things about entering into different parts to go into inner Earth, and a lot of the giants that they describe resemble what we would call Bigfoot or Yeti or something like that. And if you've ever noticed, the cave systems kind of match up a lot with a lot of your Bigfoot sightings. Those same places where a bunch of people go missing are also a lot of the places where Bigfoot's seen.
I saw a map the other day that was showing, and here is where the majority of people have gone missing in the country, and here is the underground cave system. And when you lay them on top of each other, it's pretty interesting, man. Yeah.
Now go ahead and get you a third copy of where your Bigfoot sightings are and lay it on top of that, and then you're going to be like, wait just a minute. That's what makes me think they live underground.
That's fascinating, man, because we've been talking to several people, and we've been talking about like interdimensionality. We've been talking about how they have like psychic and telepathic powers that they can communicate like mind to mind with you and things like that.
I believe that.
Yeah, so I mean, in that way, I just kind of figured because there's these sightings that correlate with UFO sightings. So people that'll see orbs or they'll see like crafts in the sky. Like a lot of times, you'll see these like miniature Bigfoots or full on Bigfoots in the same vicinity around the same time. And so that also led me to believe maybe it was interdimensional, but maybe all this just high strangeness just. Yeah, I don't
Are
know.
you familiar with the skunk ape?
Tell me about the skunk ape. He's out of Florida, isn't he? Is
He's
that
out of
a?
Florida, and he's also been mentioned in like South Georgia area because we have Okefenokee that butts up down here, and it seems to be a swamp dwelling Bigfoot. He's not the same monstrous size as the rest of them. He's more average human size, and tends to be seen in like dark matted black fur, and he is the stench of him is what draws people's attention to him before they even see him, because apparently he puts off this stench that is just smelt long before he even appears.
Now, is he aggressive, or is he? Do you know anything about his behavior at all, or is he a nicer
So a
one
lot
of
of the
them?
stories, so a lot of the stories with him actually are aggressive type stories. Him There has been stories where he has flipped boats, people down, floating around inside swamps and rivers and stuff, and there's been stories where he has destroyed like little huts or campsites and stuff like that when people are off from it. So that one seems to be a little bit more aggressive. Like the few videos that do appear, it even seems like he's trying to charge towards the people that are recording him and stuff. So
That's really
he's a little
fascinating.
tweaked there. Something's a little up there.
So I've been doing a lot of these interviews, and what I've heard a lot is that for the most part, and maybe that's like Sasquatch, these type of Bigfoots, they're actually very kind,
Yeah.
and they actually like kind of emit like peace and love, sort of like. They send some like those type of feelings towards you when you see them, but they're also accompanied by dogmen sometimes, and they're kind of like their security guards, and the dogmen are mean, which I
I
find
wonder,
fascinating.
I
Um,
wonder if the skunk apes are closer to dogmen.
it may be, and but what I'm hearing about too is that there are different types of Bigfoots. There are different like species of Bigfoot, and one that I heard about last night was they call them face eaters,
Hmm.
and there's these they almost look. Yeah. Anyways, they sound terrifying, and these are the ones that eat people.
Now, I have heard some good stories throughout the years, especially when you get over to the areas where he's considered Yeti, and like the snow and stuff like that. That he's more of a protection kind of thing. Like I've heard stories where people have talked about him like keeping wolves and stuff away from campsites and stuff like that. And that lets me know that like I really believe there are good ones. Going back into the Solomon Island things, the locals in the Solomon Islands claim that the Bigfoot, the giants that come out from underground there, range in three different sizes, all covered completely in fur, and that they are extremely friendly and like not out there to cause destruction. They just want to be left alone. They don't like to be seen, but they're not going to bring harm to anyone. If anything, they're bringing like gifts and stuff from underground and leaving it for these people to find and such. Like the Solomon Islands Yeti or Bigfoot or however they say it over there are some of my favorite, because even the drawn pictures of them look like what me and you call Bigfoot here in the States.
That's fascinating, man. This is actually the first time I ever heard of that. I didn't know that there were giants and things like that that were. Yeah, do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love the Solomon
Yeah,
Islands. So I'm gonna you guys can look up where they are and stuff, and you can really all you got to do is look up the Solomon Island giants, and there's stuff dating back to when explorers were first checking out those kind of areas, and it was like documented that they were running across these giants because they used to move around more freely, and now people say that they tend to stay out of sight when tourists and such are around, but as far as everyday living, like people live their lives apparently like almost beside these giants in the Solomon Island area, because they're a little further behind, I guess, society, because they're still kind of more relaxed and living that island life. So there's not as much cameras and technology flying by and stuff as there is when people are over there visiting and touristing up. But there goes from being, sightings of them, especially pre-World War II, to even, I think the most recent one was in 2008. That was like an official sighting where there was like a tourist guy out in that area, him and his whole family, and they seen it from the boat while they were out fishing. And when they came back in, like the cave, at the mouth of the cave, they could see where there was a fire had been made, and like drawing, like not really drawing, but like handprints and stuff on the wall that were bigger than human hands from like in the mud and stuff like that. And it's very common when you're walking the beach out there to apparently find giant feet prints in the sand. So, I mean, that's Bigfoot. Like that's what that is to me.
Yeah,
You
dude,
know,
that's awesome. Where are the Solomon Islands? Is that like in
right off the top of my head, I don't know the exact geography spot, but I know they're out there. If I'm not mistaken, they're out there like close to the Indian Ocean.
Okay, interesting. I was wondering if they were anywhere near Easter Island because those sculptures are fascinating, but I have no
Oh, aren't
idea.
they? Like those are some, makes you wonder what kind of giants were in those areas, right?
Okay, so the Solomon Islands, they're almost by Australia. Yeah, they're
I knew I was
okay.
semi close.
I wonder where the heck Easter Island is. Yeah, that's fascinating, man. Yeah, that's really cool. I've never heard that before. And that would be awesome. We just did our Bigfoot hunt, and we were specifically like hunting in areas that were nearby water so that we could see. We were looking for like muddy spots we could find footprints and things, and we found some pretty interesting footprints actually.
That is something that I have always heard, and even when we were up in the Blue Ridge area ourselves doing our kind of little thing like that, the water thing is definitely a true thing. Like they always tell you to hang out near what, like water that you would drink from or water you see deers drinking from and such like that. That's going to be an area where they're going to pop up at and check things out. The
Yeah,
coolest
it's
thing I've ever been shown, I think, though, had to be a clump of hair, because we totally have a Bigfoot museum here in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
we do
And
too. We visited afterward and did some filming there.
nice.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
and I know here at this one, they've got like hair on display that they've found out in the woods around it and stuff like that, that they science has yet to explain to them, because it's definitely not bear hair, it's definitely not deer hair, and they kind of just write it off as, well, it's got to be Bigfoot because we really don't have anything else to match it to. So
I had a friend that was telling me a little bit about this, that there is like a Bigfoot genome project, and there's a lady that has been working on it, and she lost some credibility among the Bigfoot community because she was tying it to the Nephilim, and they're like, that's a bridge too far for me, and I'm like, for real?
why would
I
that be a bridge
don't
too
know.
far? Like
They
I
were
think
like, she's crazy. I'm like, you believe in Bigfoot, dude. We're in this together.
I think the Solomon Island thing, it is a great example of tying it back into Nephilim or giants period, because over there they just consider them giants, and the ones over there, there's supposed to be three different sizes of them that range from 9 foot tall to almost 20 foot tall, and in between. And they consider them giants. Like when you talk to locals and stuff, they explain that those are like the children of the Nephilim and such, and they look like Bigfoot. So and me
Yeah.
personally, I think if we prove Bigfoot, we 1,000,000% prove Nephilim.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm on board with you, dude. I mean, I kind of see things through a biblical lens. I don't think you do, but I kind of have that kind of lens, and the way I see it is like, man, these Bigfoots are described as big and tall. Like, I don't see why they could not be the Nephilim.
I I I
Absolutely.
don't lean too much into the Christian aspect of things, but I am a big believer in books that were removed from the Bible as being more literal stories than the parables from the main Bible, like the Gospel of Thomas and of course the Book of Enoch. And both of those books definitely mention the existence of giants or Nephilim or something like that. And when you start reading, and the way I guess I understand those books, like to me, that was kind of the root that started me in my search for giants. When I read the Book of Enoch and learned about the Nephilim in that area of it, I was like, whoa. And then from there, that's where I started learning about the Smithsonian destroying giant evidence, and then seeing just all the historical pictures of people that just tower over other people. And they didn't treat them kind of as giants, really. Sure they were excited to see them, but I mean, I've seen pictures of like soldiers in like Asia and Russia and even Europe and stuff that towered over the rest of them, and they were it looked like it was normal to them. You know what I'm saying? Like those people weren't
Yeah.
freaking out about seeing them.
So, how familiar are you with the Bible and some of the stories?
Oh, I mean, I've definitely read it. The religion pushed me to become the crazy pirate you guys know today, because as a young boy, I actually got kicked out of a church for having pierced ears and a new international version of the Bible. I was told by this Southern Baptist preacher out this way that I was going to hell for having those items, and it
Yeah, that
made me
tracks.
right. Well, it made me want to
You have
search
to
more
have the
things.
one that was like possessed by demons. You had,
Right.
dude. What's so funny, man? Someone was explaining to me that King James, that motherfucker was like he was communing with demons, and he thought that he could get like it was wild. He was summoning demons. He was
I
into
was about to
like
say.
hard cult and like,
I was about to
and
say
that's the
you
son of
know
a bitch that like wrote the King James Bible. Like, and so yeah, the
you know whose
NIV
first
is
book
a
was
step
on
too far to go.
demonology,
You're going
right?
to hell for having an NIV Bible, and you might have your ear pierced. So
So it and I don't anymore. They've grown in since then, but
yeah.
like that actually started my venture. I started learning about other religions in the world, and I learned there was over 2,000 religions in the world, and I've probably read close to 40 different Bibles, different holy texts from different religions, and I started seeing a common path in a lot of them, which ended up relating back into a lot of the things that I talk about, like in today and stuff, like consciousness and loving each other and vibrations of how the world and stuff believes. And I pulled these things and a lot of the same similar stories from all these different ones. And do I believe Jesus existed? Absolutely. But I think he was trying to show people a way of life. The Book of Enoch shows that he went off to basically these mystery schools, and the Gospel of Thomas as well, to almost become like a shaman in a sense. And when you look at other different religious texts from different religions aspects, they talk about the same guy. They just might use a different name for him. And this same shaman guy was teaching all these great things to people all over the world. So like, I mean, I dig into it, because I think I found some good truths to it. And I also understand that when you get into a lot of the speaking, that you got to remember people were trying to hide things from the Roman Empire. So they made these stories in parables and stuff like that to be able to still spread the message to me and you today that they were trying to spread back then, without the Roman Empire destroying those books, because that kind of belief system was definitely against everything the Catholic Church had going on at the time, like the Roman Catholic Church. So I mean, it gets
Yeah, it is fascinating because yeah, there was definitely some different beliefs. Like early Christianity had a lot of different beliefs before it was co-opted by the Roman Empire, by
absolutely.
Constantine, and like turned into whatever the Catholics call religion today. And yeah, that all of that is fascinating. I was asking you this because the gentleman that I was talking to last night, named Scott, he sees all this through a very biblical lens, and he was telling me, and this is fascinating too. We're going to have him back on to discuss this further, but the story of Jacob and Esau, if you're familiar with that one. So their father was Isaac, right? And they were so Esau was the older brother, Jacob was the younger brother, and so Esau was going to get the blessing to take over, right? He was going to get the inheritance. He was going to take over the household and all the property, right? And so Jacob had to he tricked his father into giving him the blessing, because his father Isaac was blind at this time, right? So it describes his brother Esau as being very large. He was a very big guy. He was a very big hunter. He had a particular odor, and he was hairy from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. Like he was big and hairy, and he was redheaded. This big redheaded giant hairy man,
That's
and
a
so
thing.
that's the thing, man. And so his brother Jacob had to put sheep skin over him to pretend he was his brother, and he had to like wear some of his clothing so that he smelled like his brother. And so, and anyway, so his dad like pat him down. He's like, "Okay, it's you, Esau." And then he took and stole the blessing from his father, and
Well,
that he is convinced that his brother was a Bigfoot, that was some lineage that, yeah, it's
I
fascinating,
got
man.
two
And
cool
what are your
things for
thoughts
that.
on that?
Well,
Yeah.
one thing that I will notice and like point out with that is if you've read the text, I guess the way I have, even Noah was a giant. Like, when he built the ark and stuff like that, that guy towered over many other men as far as size. And then when you start talking about the red-haired giants,
Mm-hmm.
that okay, so you've got the red-haired giants not only here in America, but all over the Middle East. That's a
Yep.
thing in the Middle East. And there was that one that the military killed and flew out of there, and Bandit, my co-host buddy there, he will tell you in a heartbeat because he was in the Middle East the time that happened, and he says that 100% happened. He wasn't on that mission, but he said it he said when you talk to a man that has seen things that are unexplainable, when you've seen things that are unexplainable, he's like, you believe what he's talking about. And like he said, that there really are giants out there in the desert still, that run around today. And you know I believe that. Like I believe these Bigfoots are there, and that these other giants, and maybe they are the same thing, are definitely out there running around. I'm big into believing maybe underneath us, and they probably can travel interdimensional. Like I think everything can travel interdimensional except for humans, because they ain't found a way to make money off of it yet, and that's why they won't let us do it.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Yeah, so that whole thing about interdimensionality, because I've heard several folks talk about Bigfoot cities, and because doing this research, they supposedly live out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the woods, and I just keep thinking like because apparently they are as intelligent, if not more intelligent than us. They claim to be a human as well, sort of. They're like, we're man too. We're like you, but we're different. And they want to be recognized and respected as another man. And so it just made me wonder if they do have these cities, and if they do, where are they? Because or do they just live like cavemen, basically, and like prehistoric cavemen out in the middle of the woods? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, dude, I really think that gets back into everything that's underground. Like, okay, so when you get into like the underground stuff, there's definitely a bunch of mysterious underground cities like Denkuru and Naros, and even well, let me look this one up real quick. I want to say it right. It begins with an L. Lalabella. These are all crazy underground cities all over the world, and even more than that, like there's legends of going into portals or whatever, like that lead to other underground cities, even like under Mount Shasta. That's another spot that there's even a lot of sightings. There's
Yeah.
there's said to be cities inside of these mountains, and even made of gold. Like some of the things have said that these cities are made of gold. There's one I know you can get to from Taiwan, I believe, too. And like I believe these guys live in those cities. Like there's a reason there's those cities there. There's a reason we can't go to the North Pole or the South Pole, because there's definite entrances into, I think, the underground world, and people stumble across them all the time through sinkholes that come up weirdly, and or like that mountain that, or what was it, they had an earthquake over there in China, and that cave shows a giant whole entire underground inhabitable area that travels for miles. It has its own ecosystem,
Yeah, an underground forest,
an
a
underground forest.
giant forest. Yeah,
So I believe they're out there in that, and I think they live simpler. We all, it's kind of in America, you have to live. in a box, in at least $100,000 box. You know what I mean? Like you can't, without the law messing with you, you can't just go, if you wanted to live a simple life and go pitch a tent out in the woods, it's kind of hard to do because eventually DNR is going to show up and make you leave. But you're not going to make a 7 foot, or I mean, an 8, 9, 10 plus foot giant hairy thing leave. That's for sure. And maybe they live simpler. Maybe they have their needs met in these underground cities and they're up here just kind of hanging out and enjoying what they can of these secluded areas and stuff, or even spying on us. That could be a thing too.
It could be a thing, man. And sometimes I think too that maybe they just have different types of technology. Like we look at these cell phones like they're important and we need them, but really, I mean, what is this more than just like this is just a prison that they put us in. Like they use this as like this tracks me, this reads
That
everything that I say. This is
that's
like
used as a tool for sure. And I
yeah,
think
they're
I made the
handcuffs and
I
I
made
need
this
it.
comment.
I could throw it away, but why don't I? Because I'm a fucking idiot. Right. So like,
Oh
and
no,
we're
I
talking
agree.
to seer stones right now with this crystalline screen. We're like talking, you're all the way in Georgia. I'm the way in Oregon. Like we're like this, like I was talking to somebody the other day. It was like, this is like, how do you talk to Alexa? That's like magic mirror on the wall. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Tell me who's the sexiest one of all. Like, Alexa, tell me who's hot. You know, like that's where we're at right now. It's this weird fucking thing. I wonder if they have like just different types of technology that they use because like
Tesla
they're
tech.
because we can talk about like different crystals and different like minerals and things that can like store data, that can do all kinds of things that like have energy and vibration and frequency that like
They're
yeah, I don't
on
know.
Tesla tech, bro.
They
Think
might
about
be
it.
on Tesla tech, exactly, and they might just laugh at us being complete asshole idiots.
Well, all right. So this, I think, all right, this is going to kind of run into some weird stuff. So ancient tech is future tech. Like
Yeah.
the 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 people before us were far more advanced at one point in time. And I think the people underground are still that far advanced, if not far further advanced. And when you
Hmm.
get into talking about how people like Bob Lazar or Stephen Greer reverse engineered technology from, otherworldly technology to create a lot of their like spaceship like planes and stuff like that, and even cell phones and artificial intelligence and stuff, it I don't think it came from aliens. I think it came from whomever lives inside the earth, quite possibly Bigfoot. They could have got this technology from some kind of ship, maybe. Check this out. Maybe Bigfoot's manning these spaceships we're seeing, and that's because they use that kind of technology and they come in and out from, because spaceships are always coming from caves or from the ocean or
From
from,
the ocean a lot, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is really fascinating, man, because there are like if you listen to Bob Lazar, he was talking about how they had these ships, and one of the ships that they had, one of these flying saucers, they found at like an ancient excavation site, right? It was and so it was at least like 12,000 years old or something like that. This ship that they had found, and so like these are older than we know. They've been around for quite a while, and I think about things like this, like let's say in human history, whatever you want to call it. That we had some giant thing that was coming that was like going to destroy, like, I mean, we could talk about like the Tower of Babel, which I think is very much in line with like the fall of Atlantis. I think that we had like, because if you listen to the Tower of Babel, I think we were all one people, we had one culture, we had one language, we were powerful. Like in the Bible, it even says that like God said like if everyone works together like this, they could take me down, right? Because that was their plan. They were like, we're going to heaven and we're going to take over heaven. Like, and they were building this tower to heaven, and God said like they could. And so, I mean, to me, that's kind of this idea that like that was Atlantis, where they had this crazy technology. Like, I don't know what type of tower this was, but yeah, it's just this fascinating thing, and like that's. Anyways, there might have been some impending like something that was going to like catastrophe that was going to destroy the planet, and that's when they built these underground cities to protect themselves,
The
and
last
maybe they
great
didn't come back
reset.
up. What's that?
The last great reset.
Exactly,
The
man.
mud flood, maybe.
And so they might still have this like, yeah, exactly, they might still have this like pre-Atlantis technology that those flying saucers could have been around
Although
for.
I think the government has this technology, has had this technology, and has things that we haven't even seen yet, but they're still just trying to find ways to make money off of it.
Yeah,
Until they know how to make money off of it and get rich, they're not going to release it. There's videos of people holding these devices, videos of people holding these devices pre 1930s.
yeah, man, it's something else, man. It's really fascinating. Yeah, and I like the idea that it's Bigfoot. I mean, think about this too. What operation was that? Operation High Jump was that? So that's when was it Captain Cook who went and with like the military were trying to go down to Antarctica and were trying they doing something right, and then they were met by Nazi flying saucers
Oh yeah,
and and
and
were
Admiral
blasted and
Byrd
shot
has
down.
similar stories as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating, man. And so supposedly the Nazis had made contact with some alien race, and it could have been extraterrestrial. We don't know what that means, right? Just from or ultra terrestrial, and they were given technology, and they made some sort of an alliance. And so there's still like a breakaway civilization down there. So the Nazis never left. I mean, the Nazis didn't lose. Germany lost, but the Nazis didn't. And they
Operation
have
Paperclip brought them all here.
well, there's that. But I think that a bigger chunk, well, I don't know about a bigger chunk, but a separate chunk is now separate and has like the Fourth Reich going on down in like Antarctica, aka maybe the Hollow Earth. So
I mean, I
maybe
so
Bigfoot is working with the Nazis.
I mean, we've actually I've had a fellow we've been getting into a conversation kind of dealing with this, and there seems to be two separate groups in the Nazi times. And there's all those weird ones that did go to South America, and
A
all
bunch,
these
man.
German people that are in Argentina. There's a lot of people that are blonde
There's
haired, blue
full
eyed.
cities, yeah, that are just German. They don't
Yeah,
speak Spanish. They don't
yeah.
speak any other. They speak
Portuguese or
fucking
nothing.
German.
They
They
speak
make their beer. They make their sausage. They wear their fucking whatever those son of a bitches are
Lederhosen.
called. Lederhosen. Yeah, they're German cities down there. Yeah, blonde hair, blue eyed Aryan folks down there.
And a lot of the stories that come from there and come from Germany say that they were, before the war was even over, they were making trips to Antarctica to drop things off or, do something down there. And knowing that there are underground tunnel systems that submarines use all over the United States and other countries, that I know there's underground tunnel systems like that in the ice of Antarctica and such too. Like you can't have it in some places and not have it in all places, I believe. And so they've probably been traversing back and forth there for quite some time. And to think that the ones that are there are quite possibly working with Bigfoot and maybe Greys or maybe Lord knows what, because there's supposed to be all these different alien races, and I really believe they're inside the Earth, not in space, because they're always got us focused on space and never focused on the ground and the ocean, which we still don't
Yeah.
know anything about, to be real. And like who if they're living down there, like, and they're accepting of those people, why aren't they accepting of us? Like what kind of what kind of people are they down there compared to the people that we're told they were up here? It's quite interesting to wonder about.
Yeah, man, this is all super fascinating. Um, Yeah, man. I have no
You
idea.
didn't
I'm speechless.
you didn't know so there is totally I've talked about this on my show a few times. There's totally underground submarine stations and such. Like there's submarine bases in the Nevada desert because there's totally tunnel systems where subs can pass underneath the country. There's been subs that have been tracked to go from the Great Lakes back out into the Gulf of Mexico.
Fascinating.
So like with that being a thing, where are those subs going? Where did those Nazi subs go that went to Antarctica that didn't go to Argentina? What's out
Yeah,
there?
man. What's out there?
I
That's
got
fascinating.
adventurer in my blood, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they claim the world is conquered, but my insides tell me it's not. And I'd love to helm a pirate ship and set sail and see what we could find.
Well, Captain, if you ever get your hands on a submarine, I'll be your first mate.
Fantastic. We'll make sure it's done, buddy. We will shoot a great documentary about what's underneath the ice down there.
Dude, yeah. Don't let the government hear this. Oh, wait. But yeah, let's go to Antarctica, man. I want to find Hollow Earth. I
Hey
want to
man,
find
when
these.
the treaty's gonna be up in our lifetime.
Is it really?
Yes.
No joke.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Because I mean, unless they decide to renew the treaty, the Antarctic Treaty will run out in our lifetime. I believe it's like I want to say it's like the 2030s sometime. So unless they extend it, we might have the opportunity to just do it.
Dude, let's just be junkyard psychos and like start welding and start making a fucking boat
Make our own
ourselves.
submarine.
Yeah, exactly.
Scrapyard submarine.
Hell yeah. Well, sir, this has been fantastic. I appreciate you very much. I got to get going to the next one.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you having me, and thanks for making me a part of this Bigfoot thing, man. Like I think he's out there. I hope everybody keeps looking for him until we get the good, definitive, face-to-face truth with him.
I love it, man. Thank you very much. Do you want to give your plugs one more time?
Yeah, man, you guys make sure you jump over to unconstitutionalawakening.com. You can find everything from there, from our show to merch to who knows what kind of crazy stories, because there's a crazy bunch of freedom pirates hanging out over there, and that's unconstitutionalawakening.com.
Hell yeah, man. All right. See you, brother.
Good night, bud.